So this film, I bloody loved. Honestly, cried almost solidly throughout the second half, and I was on a date.
Oh my God.
It's like, I mean, how does it feel being responsible for making grown men cry?
Well, I wasn't sure that anybody would cry. I'm glad that grown men cry. There seems to be this myth about that men don't cry. I don't know where that came from, and I don't know how it caught on, because it's so obviously not true. But I'm glad it's effective. I mean, that was our job, really, was to move the audience, and I'm glad if it does.
And obviously you've done an amazing array of projects, but if you could travel back through time and play any role through any film in history, have you thought about what that might be?
One of the actors I admire most is Steve McQueen. And there's a movie called The Getaway, in which he wears a black suit, white shirt, black tie, and carries a double-barreled shotgun, obviously, and gets in and out of cars. He shoots up a police car at one point with his double-barreled shotgun, and it is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I can't be Steve McQueen, but I'd give it a shot.
It's not a bad place to start, I would say.
No.
And if you had the chance to go back through time and give your 18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would that be?
Never take anyone's reputation at face value. Get them to prove it.
Ooh.
And don't take drugs and pay your taxes.
Awesome.
Those would be those are the things that would have made life so much groovier.
And finally, if you could go back and take back one truly dreadful, terrible, or embarrassing thing that you've done, is there anything that springs to mind?
There was a moment in my life when I reached puberty, my hair exploded into an afro, which was a very, very bad day. There was no precedent for that when I was a young man in terms of cool. It meant you couldn't be in the Rolling Stones. I used to plaster it down with stuff to make it look straight, which really wasn't successful. And at one point, one of the teachers at school grabbed me by the hair in order to drag me out to the front of the class to punish me. And when he felt my hair, he took his hand away and said, "Nighy, what horrible hair." And the class thought it was Christmas, and it took me about 6 months to recover. And you can probably tell by the tone of my voice that I haven't quite pulled it off yet. So I'd go back in time and I'd probably grab him by his hair and drag him out in the front of the class. No, that wouldn't be right. I'd just rub it out, that particular part of my life.
That's a pretty mean thing to do to a young guy.
I was 14. It was a bad time to do it, yeah.
Any day now, you'll feel better about it.
Yeah, I mean, if I'd have been 29, it would have been fine.
And very quickly, this seemed like a cast where everyone just got on like a house on fire. Like, you were all so sweet about each other. Can you tell us one thing about someone in the film that maybe we don't know?
I can't think of anything, really. I'm sorry. And they are all very nice, and we got on very, very well. I know everybody always says that, but it was true. We were in a beautiful place in Cornwall. It was a beautiful summer. I can't think of anything. I know that Donald Gleeson has the same favourite film as me, which is Punch Drunk Love by Paul Thomas Anderson, starring Adam Sandler and Emily Watson.
He actually mentioned that to me.
Did he? Oh, good, because he gave me the screenplay that he'd bought online, which is a copy of the screenplay with all the rewrites in it. He actually gave it to me. I mean, that's a big gift, you know. And I was amazed to find anyone else who loved the film as much as I do.
That was the person he said he'd go back and be if he could be any role.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I've got to go, and though it's a pleasure talking to you, Bill.
It's lovely.